Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram at Q and Review. That's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com. That's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling us on 0141 772 3979. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback.
Evening Times Sport, March 11. Celtic forgotten man nearly joined European giants. Report by Mark Walker. Ajax chief scout Hans van der Zee revealed Celtic beat the Dutch giants to land defender Gustav Ligerbilke, but he reckons the 20 and shady Lone Star is finished at Parkhead. Swedish stopper Ligerbilke has been a revelation for 20 this season and was named in this week's Eredivisie Team of the Week. He is on loan from Celtic, and although 20 want to make the move permanent, they fear they will be priced out because they did not include a clause in the deal to fix a transfer fee. Former Ajax talent spotter Van der Zee is not surprised at the success of 24-year-old Lagerbielke. He said, "I thought he was a positive influence for 20 again and played well. When I was at Ajax, I also had him in mind for the club and suggested buying him when he was still playing for Elfsborg, but he went to Celtic for €3.5 million. He did not do well at Celtic, otherwise they would not have loaned him out, they would have kept him." Former Dutch World Cup winner and ex-Southampton and PSV Eindhoven manager Jan Poortvliet has been hugely impressed by the Hoops player and said, "Lagerbilke immediately caught my eye at 20. He plays very relaxed, has qualities of building from the back, and is defensively strong where he is well positioned. He is quite tall but also quite athletic and comfortable on the ball." Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, March 11. Glasgow's SEC to welcome thousands for global fitness phenomenon, reports Craig Williams. Glasgow's SEC is set to welcome 40,000 visitors over the next few days for a global fitness phenomenon. Scotland's largest exhibition centre is gearing up to host its third High Rocks event from March 12 to 16, welcoming athletes and spectators to one of the world's fastest growing fitness competition. This year the venue has also been selected of one of just 4 global locations, alongside Hong Kong, Amsterdam and Las Vegas, to host a High Rocks Elite 15 major race, where top athletes will race head-to-head for a highly sought-after spot in the Elite 15. Among the 19,000 competitors taking part, 5 SEC staff members, Chris McConnell, Gemma Roxburgh, Jacqueline Elder, Mark McElwain and Charlene Stafford, will be competing on home soil. Jacqueline Elder shares her excitement. "We have been talking about High Rocks all year, both at work and in training. Competing in our hometown and workplace is an incredible opportunity. We cannot wait to push ourselves to the limit and experience the electric atmosphere that makes High Rocks so special. High Rocks continues to expand globally, with events across 11 countries attracting elite athletes and everyday fitness enthusiasts alike. Combining running with functional workout stations, the competition delivers a high-energy, immersive race experience, further amplified by the passion of its spectators. Competitors will travel from around the world, including the USA, Spain and New Zealand, bringing a significant boost to the city's hospitality sector as they explore Glasgow's hotels, restaurants, bars and attractions. Angela Smith, head of new business at the SEC, highlighted High Rocks' impact. She said, "High Rocks has been a tremendous success for the SEC, growing year on year. Securing the High Rocks Elite event reinforces Glasgow's reputation as a prime destination for mass participation fitness events. The SEC's world-class facilities, combined with the city's accessibility and welcoming spirit, makes it the perfect choice. We are looking forward to another incredible event." Amber Ruddy, head of marketing for High Rocks, said, "High Rocks returning to the SSE in Glasgow for the third time is an incredibly exciting part of our 24-25 season. With 19,000 athletes set to compete across 4 days of racing, the atmosphere will be nothing short of electric. The SEC is a fantastic venue and the perfect stage for High Rocks, offering our Scottish community the incredible opportunity to compete on their very own home turf. Adding to the excitement, Glasgow is one of the 4 cities worldwide to host a High Rocks major for this season, where the top contenders from all over the globe will battle for a place in the prestigious Elite 15 ahead of the World Championships in Chicago this June. Last year, the passion and support from the Scottish crowd was phenomenal, and we cannot wait to see what this year brings. Report by Craig Williams. Evening Times Sport, March 11. Nick Rodger reports as Hill scales heights, as success breeds success for Tour Scott. As a columnist, it is important to keep a sense of consistency in style and tone. As a reader, you are probably completely scunnered by the consistency in the style and tone of this columnist. If you have managed to stick with me all these years, in the same kind of way that a barnacle clings stubbornly to the rusting hull of a sunken ship, then you will know that I do like to garnish these haverings with the odd national observance. Today, for instance, is National Napping Day, a time to celebrate the restorative powers of a quick 40 winks, and the "Oi, can you wake up, please? You've only read 106 words of this." Oh well, I don't blame you. I even had to stifle a yawn as I typed the word columnist in that opening sentence. Thankfully, we got something of an eye-opening victory to savour at the weekend, as Scotsman Callum Hill conjured a thrilling final day assault at the Joburg Open to win his second DP World Tour title. 8 shots behind with a round to play, Hill just about required snookers, but a rip-roaring 8 under 62, his best round of the new season by 4 shots, set the clubhouse target and he stood firm to win in a three-man playoff. In this pursuit of wildly fickle fortunes, those fortunes can change quickly. If you were a betting man or woman, walked into the bookies the other week and said, "I'll have a tenner on Callum Hill at the Joburg Open, please," you probably would have been greeted with the same head-shaking, shrugging indifference you would get if you put £3 each way on Oxford at the varsity boat race. Hill had missed his last 3 cuts in a row and, by his own admission, was putting terribly. It is a familiar lament in this game. As one noted scribe of yore observed, half of golf is fun, the other half is putting. Sometimes it's not even that good. On Sunday, though, Hill seemed to hold everything, as that temperamental tool of his trade sizzled like a red-hot branding iron, searing the backsides of a herd of livestock. It was a terrific thrust, and a timely tonic for Hill as he continues to soak up lost ground. Not long after his maiden tour win in the Kazoo Classic in 2021, Hill, who won 3 Challenge Tour titles in the space of 12 months during his rapid rise to the main European circuit, was bitten by an insect while at a tournament in Spain. A seemingly minor nibble from that pesky buzzing blighter ended up causing him considerable distress, and he had to write off over 12 months of his burgeoning career. His condition had befuddled the medical experts, but he was finally diagnosed with nerve hypersensitivity after a prolonged spell of uncertainty and no end of worry. There was a period there, which I think is a normal thing, where your mind goes to the worst-case scenario, and you think this is going to be the end of everything. What am I going to do with myself? He said a couple of years ago as he dipped a tentative toe back into the competitive waters. His Joburg Open triumph at the weekend completed his comeback. It's onwards and hopefully upwards. When Hill made his breakthrough on the tour back in 2021, he barged his way into the top 100 of the world rankings for the first time. We can only wonder how high he would have clambered had he not been struck down by that illness, but he's back on the ascendancy again in this second coming. Robert McIntyre, his bounce management stablemate, has established himself as a global force during Hill's convalescence, while Ewan Ferguson, another of the Scots in a similar age bracket, reeled off a triple whammy of DP World Tour wins between 22 and 24. Hill and the rest of a sturdy tartan army on tour, who are in their 20s and early 30s, tend to be as tight-knit as a closely fought sewing bee and continue to feed off this friendly peer pressure and collective success. It doesn't seem that long ago that us crotchety old lot who cover this stick and ball game for a living were grousing and groaning about Scotland not having a tour player under the age of 30, as our troubled brows were left as furrowed as a badly ploughed field. But then peaks, troughs, feasts and famines can be par for the course in this unpredictable, unforgiving game of formidable strength and depth. I always remember my dear colleague Dougie Lowe, the late, much-missed former golf correspondent of the Herald, raking over the debris of a fairly futile weekend covering the humdrum exploits of the Scots at a tournament a number of years ago, and delivering a sombre State of the Nation address in the sanctuary of a watering hole. "These buggers are playing us out of a job," he muttered, while reaching for the soothing elixir of a large dark rum and Diet Coke to temper the grumbling anguish. I'm sure Dougie, a great champion of golf in his homeland, would have raised a glass to Hill, and indeed the rest of the Scots, during this upturn in fortunes over the last few years. Hopefully this latest win acts as a catalyst for more. Success, as they say, breeds success, says Nick Roger.
This is from the Glasgow Times of Thursday, the 13th of March 2025, from the sports section. Celtic duo picked in Japan squad alongside ex-hero. This article is by Martin Macmillan. Celtic stars Daizen Maeda and Ryo Hatate have been selected for Japan's national team. They are joined by former hoops favourite Kyogo Furuhashi and Hajime Moriyasu's 25-man squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers. Japan, currently at the top of their qualification group, will face Bahrain on March 20th and Saudi Arabia on March 25. With 16 points from 6 games, Japan are looking to secure their spot at the 2026 World Cup. Maeda and Hatate, both crucial players for Celtic, will be called upon to help achieve this goal. Kyogo, who left the Scottish Premiership champions in the January transfer window for French side Stade Rennais, has seen limited game time in Ligue 1. However, this hasn't affected his place in the national team. The full squad includes goalkeepers Keisuke Osako, Kosei Tani, and Zion Suzuki. In defense, Yuto Nagatomo, Kota Takai, Ko Itakura, Hiroki Ito, Ayumu Seku, Yukinari Sugawara, and Hiroki Sekine have been selected. The midfield and attack will consist of Kaoru Mitoma, Io Tanaka, Wataru Endo, Daichi Kamada, Kyogo Furuhashi, Yunya Ito, Kaito Nakamura, Takumi Minamino, Hidemasa Morita, Daizen Maeda, Ryo Hatate, Ritsu Duan, Ayase Ueda, Takefusa Kubo, and Joel Jima Fujita. The upcoming matches are crucial for Japan, as they aim to secure their participation in the 2026 World Cup, set to take place in the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. Maeda and Hatate's inclusion in the squad highlights their importance to the national team and their impressive performances for Celtic this season. That article was by Martin Macmillan. From the Glasgow Times of Thursday the 13th of March 2025, from the sports section. Joe Cole delivers verdict on Tierney's left-wing performance. This article is by Joss McCafferty. Former Chelsea and Liverpool striker Joe Cole has reacted after Kieran Tierney completed 79 minutes at left wing in Arsenal's 2-2 draw with PSV Eindhoven tonight. The defender was started out of position as Mikel Arteta made a wealth of changes following his side's emphatic 7-1 victory in the first leg last week. Tierney came into the team and played the majority of the match before he was subbed off with just 10 minutes to go for Gabriel Martinelli. Speaking post-match, Cole, who turned out for a wealth of clubs across the UK and Europe throughout his career, was impressed by Tierney. Kieran Tierney and Alexander Zinchenko were coming into this team for the first time in many, many months, he said. They both acquitted themselves very, very well. Tierney is due back at Celtic this summer. The 27-year-old has signed a pre-contract to make an emotional move back to his boyhood heroes after initially moving to North London in a then record-breaking move in 2019. Manager Brendan Rodgers said a deal to bring Tierney back to Parkhead in January past, rather than the off-season, wasn't in the works. No, it wasn't close, he said. I think it was clear, obviously, Kieran is for the summer. If that was the possibility, then that was on Arsenal's terms. If it was to happen, then great. But clearly, he was a part of their squad. He will be here in the summer. That article was by Josh McCafferty. This is from the Glasgow Times of Thursday 13th March 2025 from the sports section. Kieran Tierney hit by naughty tackle in rare Arsenal start. This article is by Martin Macmillan. Arsenal's Kieran Tierney was on the receiving end of a naughty challenge during a rare appearance last night. The left-back, who will rejoin Celtic this summer, started at left wing in the Gunners' Champions League match against PSV. It was only the 27-year-old's second start of the season. Mikel Arteta rotated his squad after a 7-1 demolition of the Dutch side in the first leg. The match ended in a 2-2 draw in North London. Tierney played most of the game before being substituted in the 79th minute. He was on the receiving end of a late challenge by Ivan Perisic, which sparked anger from Arsenal players. The referee did not show a card for the tackle, and Tierney seemed to brush it off without injury. On TNT Sports commentary, Lucy Ward said, "Perisic is just a bit late. It's a little bit naughty from him. Tierney knew that he was coming and expected something, but he's been absolutely clattered." Jorginho here telling him, "I don't know what that was all about, mate." Adam Summerton added, "That seemed to be a 'you knew what you were doing there, mate' type comment." That article was by Martin Macmillan. This is from the Glasgow Times of Thursday 13th of March 2025 from the sports section. Scotland facing Scott McTominay Napoli fitness concern. This article is by Ewan Payton. Scotland could be worried about Scott McTominay's fitness ahead of its crucial Nations League double-header against Greece. Next week, Steve Clarke's side will face Greece in a play-off to determine whether they will remain in Section A of the next competition or be relegated to Section B. Clarke named his squad for the international games on Tuesday, with the likes of McTominay, Billy Gilmore, Lewis Ferguson and Che Adams all coming back from Italy for the matches. McTominay has been outstanding for Napoli since his arrival on last summer's transfer deadline day. Gilmore has been made to bide his time, however, after impressing during last weekend's victory over Fiorentina. It seems the Ayrshire-born midfielder will get an extended run in the team. McTominay picked up a small knock during the game. However, what is of more concern to Clark and the rest of Scotland is that reports in the Italian media suggest McTominay has been forced to reduce his training regime as he fights off burnout. Tuttosport reports there is great concern about the condition of McTominay, who was substituted in the 86th minute of the match against Fiorentina. The medical staff is adopting milder training for the Scot in order to manage his fatigue phase due to the enormous work he is doing in Napoli. Naples-based journalist Raffaele Oriema also told Stile TV, Napoli have been playing with a four-man defence for the past two games, with 2 or 4 midfielders and 2 forwards. They are not playing with a 3-5-2. They have only done so in 2 games, Lazio and Como. McTominay is currently exhausted. He has been doing different training work for a week, and we need to understand whether it is better to play with him or use Philip Billing, but only Conte can know that. Clark will be hoping that some extra rest will keep McTominay fresh enough for the first leg of the play-off in Greece next Thursday, before the return match at Hampden on Sunday, March 23rd. That article was by Ewan Payton. This is from the Glasgow Times of Thursday the 13th of March 2025 from the sports section. SPFL and SFA in discussions over elite youth football change. This article is by Josh McCafferty. The SFA and SPFL are reportedly in discussions over a potential restructuring of the youth football pyramid in Scotland. Chiefs are considering introducing a new under-19s age group as they look to provide more of an opportunity to younger players, reports Record Sport. Discussions between Club Academy Scotland, several top teams across the country, and the 2 previously mentioned organisations are ongoing as plans are mapped out. As it stands, there is no recognised division between under-18 and first-team level, with players either going out on loan, straight to senior squads, or B teams. In the newly suggested plans, however, the under-18 level would be disbanded, allowing players an extra year of development before they are expected to make any jumps. The news comes after teenage duo Lennon Miller and James Wilson were handed senior Scotland call-ups yesterday. The pair have impressed for Motherwell and Heart of Midlothian, respectively, this season, and were given international recognition by Steve Clarke for their performances. Scotland face Greece in a play-off this month as they look to keep their place in Nations League A. That article was by Josh McCafferty.
From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from the sports section, Rangers odds to win the 2024-25 Europa League revealed, by Martin McMillan. Betting odds for the 2024-25 Europa League winner have been revealed. Rangers, who reached the quarter-finals after a penalty win against Fenerbahce, face Athletic Club Bilbao next. Success in this match would see them in the semi-finals, with a potential face-off against Lyon or Manchester United. However, the odds aren't in their favour. Betfair spokesperson Sam Rossbottom said, Rangers are 22-1 to lift the trophy under interim boss Barry Ferguson, ahead of a tough quarter-final clash with Athletic Bilbao. Manchester United are joint favourites to win, with odds of 10-3, after progressing to the quarter-finals. The Red Devils shared their favourite status with Athletic Bilbao, who are also 10-3. Tottenham Hotspur are not far behind with 7-2, while Lazio, who have also secured their players in the quarter-finals, are 9-2. Eintracht Frankfurt and Lyon, who are still in the competition, are given odds of 15-2 and 10-1 respectively. Sam Rosbottom added, Lazio are 9-2, with Eintracht Frankfurt at 15-2 and Lyon 10-1, while Rangers are 22-1 to lift the trophy. Bodo Glimt are considered outsiders at 33-1. And that report was by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March, from the sports section. Arrest following incident before Glasgow's old firm. Report by Ben Waddle. Police have made another arrest following an incident in Glasgow before an old firm clash. A 23-year-old was arrested and charged in connection with the alleged large-scale disturbance on Sunday, December 15th, 2024, in and around the city centre. He was arrested on Friday, March 14th. Officers said he is due to appear at Glasgow Sheriff Court on Monday, March 17th. A report will be sent to the Procurator Fiscal. 6 men, aged 22, 23, 26, 27, 28 and 38, have already been arrested in connection with the alleged disorder. On Sunday, December 15, Rangers took on Celtic at Hampden Park in the Premier Sports Cup final. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, Our inquiries are ongoing and anyone with any information that could assist our investigation is asked to contact us via 101. And that report was written by Ben Waddle and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from the sports section. Celtic boss Rodgers on Ferguson's same Rangers traits. Report by Martin McMillan. Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers has said he doesn't see great change in Rangers under Barry Ferguson's interim leadership. Ferguson, a former Rangers captain, took charge last month after Philip Clement's dismissal. In his short tenure, Ferguson has overseen 2 wins against Kilmarnock and Fenerbahce, but suffered defeats at the hands of Motherwell and another loss to Fenerbahce. Despite a 2-0 loss to Jose Mourinho's men, Rangers managed to secure a spot in Europa League quarter-finals via penalties. This Sunday, Celtic will face Rangers at Celtic Park, with the Scottish Premiership champions hoping to extend their lead to 19 points at the top of the table. Rodgers said, I don't know Barry, but I know him as a player. I know that he's gone in and he has a great connection with the supporters, given his history and success at the club. He was a fantastic player for them. For me, if I look at it purely from a coach's perspective, over the course of 4 games, I don't see great change. I saw the team go 2-0 down at Kilmarnock but come back to win. I saw the defeat to Motherwell. I saw they went away and got a fantastic result against Fenerbahce, and then I saw the team lost 2-0 in the 90 minutes but won the tie. I've seen the system changed. So, there was a really good tactical change to go 4-5-1 in Fenerbahce, but it's still similar to the same traits. Rodgers was clear that judging Ferguson's coaching ability based on a few games would be premature. He said, You could look at Barry over a longer time. If you're talking to me about coaching and managing, and tactics, man management, professionalism and these things, that will be done over a period of time. But I think if you're talking coaching, I see a lot of the same traits. Some very good performances and some inconsistencies. And that article was written by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from the sports section. Ex-Celtic player speaks about his fear of dementia. The report by Stuart Patterson. Former Celtic player John Hughes has told how he is scared he could be diagnosed with dementia. The ex-Celtic, Hibs, Ayr United and Falkirk player, who also won the Scottish Cup as manager of Inverness Caledonian Thistle, was speaking at Holyrood at the launch of a report calling for football-related brain injuries to be recognised as industrial injuries to allow access to social security benefits. Hughes said the report was an eye-opener and there needs to be a shift away from football's macho culture. The Daily Record reported Hughes told the meeting, "I played in a day where you got hurt and you didn't show that you were injured. I think we have to get away from that and we have to educate. It's the stigma of coming forward to say, listen, I might be suffering here. We are so far behind. We have to get moving." He said, "I've never forced a player to play on when they had concussion. I can say that." Hughes, a centre-half during his playing days, which saw him play for Celtic in 1995 to 96, spoke about his fear of dementia. He said, "I used to head the ball further than I could kick it." When asked if he was scared about dementia later in life, he said, 100%. He added, "There's no hiding the fact that former pros have got it. If I had it, do I still work in football? Does it stop me working? Does it stop my opportunity of working? It's the stigma around it." The report found ex-football players are 3.5 times more likely to be diagnosed with a neurodegenerative brain condition than the rest of the population. A number of high-profile Scottish players, many who were regularly heading the ball, have died from dementia. Legendary Celtic captain and manager Billy McNeill, Scotland and Manchester United star Gordon McQueen, and Scotland legend and joint record goalscorer Dennis Law all had dementia. And that report was written by Stuart Patterson and read by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from the sports section. Ferguson reveals Mourinho's Rangers dressing room gesture. Report by Martin McMillan. Barry Ferguson has revealed that Jose Mourinho congratulated Rangers after their penalty victory over Fenerbahce. The interim manager at Ibrox explained that Mourinho, whose team was defeated, offered him a message of support despite criticising the refereeing and lack of VAR intervention in his post-match interview. Ferguson says, "Jose Mourinho came into the dressing room and wished me all the best. He is one of the best managers there is, and I have full respect for everything he has done." However, Mourinho suggested that Athletic Bilbao, Rangers' next opponent, could prove too strong, saying it would be phenomenal if the Ibrox club reached the semi-final. He said, "In my opinion, I want to be respectful, you know. I want to respect the guys, I want to respect the coach, I want to respect the fans. In football, anything is possible. But I played against Bilbao in the league phase and Bilbao is a stronger team. And the final is in Bilbao. The road to Bilbao. So, honestly, I think if Rangers do it against Bilbao, it would be phenomenal because it's going to be very hard." And the article was written by Martin McMillan and read by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from the sports section. Police to exercise additional powers at Celtic v Rangers clash. Report by Morgan Carmichael. Police are set to exercise additional powers at the Celtic v Rangers game this weekend. For the match, which is set to take place on Sunday, March 16, the use of powers under Section 60 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994 has been authorised. It will allow officers to stop and search people where appropriate and necessary, whether they are in a vehicle or on foot. Officers can require the removal of any item they believe is being used wholly or partly for the purposes of concealing a person's identity. The Section 60 will be in force in various areas throughout Glasgow from 8 am until 11:59 pm on March 16. Cops say the powers will be used responsibly and, when justified, to help prevent disorder and serious violence. Chief Superintendent Stevie Dolan, who is leading the policing operation, said, "Implementation of Section 60 legislation is only undertaken where there is a sufficient risk of serious disorder or violence. Unfortunately, this fixture attacks a minority of people who seem intent on using the game as an excuse for violence and the use of weapons. The disorder that took place before the fixture in December 2024 was completely unacceptable, and we are still carrying out extensive investigations to identify those who were involved, with a number of people arrested. Attacks on genuine supporters, the public who can get innocently caught up in disorder, Police officers or emergency workers who are there to help and protect will not be tolerated. Neither will the possession of offensive weapons or dangerous instruments, including pyrotechnics, or any attempt to evade justice by concealing one's identity. Our officers will take all necessary action to ensure public safety and will be actively patrolling key areas to ensure that it is maintained. The number of away supporters attending this fixture is significantly more than over recent years. We want the vast majority of football fans who just want to enjoy the game to do just that without fear of disorder. That's also the same for the general public in the city centre and its environs. I would also encourage fans to be aware of changes to the layout of the stadium entrances and arrive in good time. It comes after Rangers ultras were filmed running down Argyle Street last September wearing Santa hats as they clashed with balaclava-clad Celtic supporters and the police. The shocking scenes were filmed on the morning of the Scottish League Cup final at Hampden Park, as onlookers were left shocked and forced to take refuge in doorways. A clip of the incident shared online has shown police struggling to deal with the large presence of football supporters, appearing to primarily involve the Union Bears and the Green Brigade. A flare was lit by a fan as the police attempted to control the disorder with batons. And that report was written by Morgan Carmichael. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from its sports section. Rangers interim boss Ferguson relishing hostile Celtic Park return. Report by Gavin McCafferty. Barry Ferguson has encouraged his players to embrace the hostile environment at Celtic Park as he looks forward to his competitive return to the home of his club's rivals. Ferguson is unfazed about the reception that awaits on Sunday when he turns up at Parkhead for his 5th game as interim head coach of Rangers. It's a place I always like to go and play, the 47-year-old said. It's hostile. They're the sort of environments I like to go to. I want my players to go and embrace these stadiums, but I'm sure I'll get a nice reception when I'm standing at the touchline. I'll need to focus on making sure my team go with the game plan that we're thinking about, and if we carry that out, we've got a right good chance of getting the 3 points. The former Ibrox captain was one of the few Rangers fans at Celtic Park in September, when he sat in the director's box in his role as club ambassador. The surroundings did not spare him from the taunts of Celtic fans during a 3-0 defeat for his side, but he accepts the hostilities as a significant part of the attraction of the fixture. I don't mind, he said. I honestly don't mind. Sometimes it crosses a line a wee bit, which disappoints me. But that's part of being in the west of Scotland. I know I took a wee bit, but that was fine. I knew what I was coming into. I think it will be a lot worse than when I was sitting in the director's box, but I'm looking forward to it. These are the games you want to play in. These are the games you should look forward to. Ferguson enjoyed some memorable wins at Celtic Park during his playing career, but they have been few and far between for his club in recent years. Rangers have not won at Parkhead since their title-winning season in October 2020. It is too long, he said. It's a tough place to go and get a result, but we'll have a way approaching the game that I think can get us a result. If that approach is not working, then we can change it within the game as well. That's important to me. I've mentioned a number of times we've not been flexible enough as a team. Now we're starting to get that because we've had a wee bit of time in the grass. I look forward to Sunday. We'll go and play a certain way that I believe, me and my staff believe, can get the right result. The odds are further stacked against Rangers because they played 120 minutes against the Fenerbahce on Thursday night before going through to the Europa League quarter-finals and penalties. But Ferguson has made his players well aware they're expected to brush off those exertions. In terms of us going 120 minutes, I'm not going to go into Sunday and use that as an excuse, he said. And that report was written by Graham McCafferty. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from the sports section. Rangers vs Fenerbahce ref blasted over scandalous display. Report by Mark Walker. Norwegian referee Espen Eskås should retire and go and eat salmon with his family after a scandalous performance during Rangers' Europa League success according to Turkish legend and pundit Nihat. Fenerbahce were furious they were denied what they claimed were 3 penalty calls, with manager Jose Mourinho leading the complaints. Mourinho was eventually booked for his protests, along with assistant manager Salvatore Foti at the same time. And Turkish TV pundit, former Real Sociedad and 69 times capped ex-Turkey star Nihat, was outraged at the decisions. He said, "The Norwegian referee should go back to his home and eat salmon with his family instead of refereeing. His performance was scandalous. Fenerbahce should have had 3 penalties. It was a referee massacre. Did you see the yellow card he gave to Talisca for diving? Rudvan Yilmaz clearly handled the ball in the box, and there was also a foul on Mert Hakan Yandas. All 3 were penalties. I felt very sorry for Fenerbahce, but they did the damage to themselves in the first leg. I think Jose Mourinho must regret that first leg very much. And also, if you miss 3 out of 5 penalties, you deserve to go out." And that report was written by Mark Walker. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March 2025, from its sports section. Rangers' remarkable impact on Scotland's coefficient ranking. Report by Martin McMillan. Rangers have made a significant impact on Scotland's UEFA coefficient ranking. Over the past 5 seasons, the Scottish Premiership club has earned 17.825 points, placing them 8th out of 101 clubs in the rankings published by Swiss Football Data. Only 7 teams have a higher contribution to their country's ranking than Rangers, including Manchester City, Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. This season alone, Rangers have added 3.750 points to Scotland's tally. Celtic, by comparison, have contributed 9.900 points over the same 5-year period and added 3.400 points this season. Rangers' continued presence in Europe means they could still increase their total before the end of the campaign. The club are set to face Athletic Club Bilbao in the Europa League quarter-finals. The Spanish side, known for their strength, will be a challenging opponent for Rangers, but a win would secure them a spot in the semi-finals against either Lyon or Manchester United. Rangers' performance highlights their key role in Scotland's standing in European football. Their contribution has been a crucial factor in determining Scotland's UEFA coefficient ranking, which impacts the number of clubs that can qualify for European competitions. Report by Martin McMillan. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 14th of March. From the sports section. Wife of Christopher Potter reveals Jack Butland Rangers message. Report by Aidan MacDonald. The wife of late Rangers fan Christopher Potter has thanked Ibrox supporters for their tributes after the family was invited to the Europa League victory over Fenerbahce. Holly Potter and Christopher's kids Jack, Millie and Teddy were special guests at last night's match as Barry Ferguson's men defeated the Turkish Giants on penalties. A minute's applause was held near the end of the first half for the father of 3, who was tragically killed following a road traffic accident in Istanbul last week. In the 40th minute of the game, fans paid tribute to the Denniston man, with a banner draped in the Copeland Road stand that read, "Rest easy, Christopher Potter." After the match, Christopher's youngest son Teddy was also pictured with Rangers penalty hero Jack Butland. Hall thanked the club and their players for their support in recent days in a statement published on Friday. She said, "I was totally overwhelmed at the outpouring of emotion on the 40th minute. The Rangers family really came together, and I know Christopher would have been chuffed to bits to see how they paid their respects. Credit to the Fenerbahce fans for joining in too. I have to thank all the players from the bottom of my heart." After the game, Teddy got to go down pitchside and he got to meet his Rangers hero Jack Butland and get a photo. Jack also gave him his top from last night and all the players signed it. The message on it said, "That was for you, Teddy." The 38-year-old also revealed that her son was able to meet her husband's favourite player. Holly continued, "I can't thank them enough, and I know Christopher would have been absolutely buzzing Teddy got to meet Brian Laudrup, his favourite player of all time." Alan McGregor also gave Teddy a pair of signed goalie gloves. "A huge thank you to everyone at Rangers. Not just the players, but all the staff who were so kind and respectful. Christopher would have been so proud of Teddy and Jack and Millie last night. Obviously, the pain we are all feeling at the moment is indescribable, but there is some comfort knowing how well loved and well thought of Christopher was. A GoFundMe page was set up to support Christopher's family, with almost £180,000 raised at the time of writing. Barry Ferguson and James Tavernier are among the Rangers heroes to donate to the GoFundMe page. The interim Light Blues boss donated £1,000 and wrote on the page, "Condolences from the Ferguson family." And that report was written by Aidan MacDonald and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 15th of March 2025, from the sports section. Injured captain backs Greece to overcome Scotland in Athens. Report by Mark Walker. Greece captain Tassos Bakasetas has backed his side to put Scotland to the sword this week, despite missing out on the showdown. Scotland face Greece in the UEFA Nations League playoffs in Athens on Thursday, with the return leg at Hampden a week today. Greece's home-based players have been given extra time to prepare because manager Ivan Jovanovic's request that all top-flight matches in the Greek Super League this weekend be postponed was granted, and the passionate Greek fans snapped up 15,000 tickets in just 2 hours ahead of what is sure to be a sellout this week. Now, Panathinaikos and Greece skipper Bakasetas, who will miss the games with a thigh injury, has backed his side to stun the Scots. He said, "The squad has been improving a lot. It's taken a few years to get where we are today. The atmosphere amongst the players is excellent. Each one of us always gives his heart and soul when he represents the national team. We are no longer lacking anything as a team. We have very young players in the squad, but we also have the experience and quality because we have players who play at a very high level. We want to compete with the very top teams, and to do that, we have to beat Scotland in these playoff games. And I believe this team has the ability to do that." Report by Mark Walker. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 16th of March 2025, from the sports section. Rangers caretaker Barry Ferguson on Vaclav Cerny water bottle incident. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Barry Ferguson thanked the Rangers supporters for helping the Ibrox club to record their first win at Parkhead in nearly 5 years today, and expressed satisfaction that his players have repaired the broken relationship with their fans with their recent performances. A stunning Hamza Igaman goal late on clinched a 3-2 victory for the Govan side in the William Hill Premiership match against the Scottish champions-elect in the East End of Glasgow. Ferguson, whose team had beaten Fenerbahce at home in a penalty shootout on Thursday night to reach the Europa League quarter-finals, felt his players, who went 2-0 ahead in the first half thanks to Nicholas Raskin and Mohamed Diomande goals, deserved to prevail. However, the Rangers caretaker manager, who again brushed aside questions about his own future after his contract expires in May, stressed the 2,500 away supporters who were allowed inside Parkhead for the first time since 2023 had played a big part in the result. The Hall of Fame member believes that James Tavernier and his teammates have got their own followers who targeted them with sickening abuse following the 3-0 defeat they suffered at Parkhead back at the start of September. Back on side. "I'm just praising the players," he said. "It's nothing to do with me. It's all about the guys in there. It's been a difficult season for them. It's a lot of change for them as well. A new manager coming in, a new coaching staff and a totally different way of approaching training and games. I've got to give them credit. I'm delighted to get on board. They're a really good group of boys. What I'm starting to see is a real togetherness, and that's what you need. Not just the playing staff, I'm talking about the staff at the training centre now. We need to try and get that connection back. I'm starting to get it with the fans. That was one of my driving forces when I came in. I just felt that was missing. Slowly but surely, we're starting to see that get back together." Ferguson added, "It's great to see the fans back in. Ideally, I would like to see what it was before, but at least it's a start having 2,500 fans in there. They drove the team on as well. It's a big help, there's no doubt about that. I say to the players that every time you win a game, you should make sure you celebrate it. That's what it's all about, that's why you play football. But they'll wake up tomorrow and that's in the past. We need to look forward to the next game in a couple of weeks. But it is certainly a good feeling coming to your fiercest rivals and deserving to win the game. So I just said to the players, listen, go and enjoy the next couple of days because it's been a long time, 5 years. Rangers allowed Celtic to level in the second half, but Ferguson insisted that he was confident his charges could come back because he has been impressed with the character they have shown since replacing Philippe Clement on a temporary basis last month. You always know Celtic are going to come at you because the crowd is getting frustrated, he said. I thought Brendan would make a change or two and he certainly did that. It made a difference to the Celtic team. They obviously get back into the game at 2-2. But then I take a step back. I've been trying to drum into the boys, you need to be more at Rangers than a good player. This is one of the things that I stressed to them when I came in. It takes a certain type to be a very good Rangers player. My group of players are certainly starting to show that. I've seen it. I've seen it in the last couple of games. I've seen it on Thursday night. We suffered a defeat. It's easy to feel sorry for yourself. I'm not accepting people feeling sorry for themselves. It was a big challenge for them. I asked them yesterday to come here and put a performance on. They certainly did that. I've got to give them huge credit. I've said it over the last couple of games, they're starting to build a wee bit of momentum. That's important. I thought, overall, we were worthy of the 3 points. Rangers winger Václav Cerny angered Celtic supporters after the Eagleman winner when he sprayed them with a water bottle as he ran down the touchline to celebrate with his teammates. Stewards had to move in around the away dugout after the home fans reacted furiously to the Czech Republic internationalist's actions. Asked if he had seen the incident, Ferguson said, No, I was concentrating on making sure that I come up with formation to see the game out. I'm just glad I wasn't involved. I've got the time and focus on my team, and that's what I was doing. You look at the clock. I don't know how many minutes were left. Was there 7 or 8 minutes? I need to make sure that we're drilled into the information just to see the game out and obviously come away with the 3 points. Asked about his prospect of staying on as the Rangers manager, Ferguson said, I've got a contract at the end of May. I'm not even thinking about it, if I'm being honest with you. I'm thinking, just make sure you go on a good run with this group of players, keep trying to improve every single day you're in training. Then, come the end of May, I'll be away on a family holiday. Honestly, if you know me and anybody who's close to me, I don't think further ahead in my contract. I've got a job to do, myself, the coaching staff and everybody who's still at the club. We're going in the right direction, but there's still a lot of things we can improve on. That's something that we're desperate to do. And that report was written by Matthew Lindsay and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 16th of March 2025, from the sports section. Analysis. Rangers fans party at Celtic Park and game regains lustre. Report by Graham McGarry. They had to congregate hours ahead of kick-off to be escorted into the stadium by police. They paid over £50 a skull for their ticket, but each and every one of the 2,500 Rangers supporters who were granted access to Celtic Park had the time of their lives as away fans returned to the Old Firm clash. Prior to the match, even Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers had said he was pleased to see them, wanting the fearsome, if frequently distasteful, back and forth between the fans that made this game so famed throughout the globe restored to somewhere close to where it once was. The party atmosphere in the away end was tempered momentarily, with Celtic managing to turn around a 2-goal half-time deficit to bring their own fans to life. Their wild celebrations were heightened, of course, by the reaction of their team to adversity, but the presence of that sizable wedge of blue in one corner of the ground seemed to add a further edge, allowing those home supporters in the vicinity to gloat in the faces of their rivals through the black netting that had been erected between them and their visitors. That sort of petty one-upmanship is, of course, what supporting a football team is all about, and both sets of fans enjoyed their moments to do so. And just as it looked as though it would be Celtic support who would be able to lord it over their neighbours once more, Hamza Igamani's late bolt from the blue that rocketed past Kasper Schmeichel saw the travelling party explode into a bloody mass of joyful limbs yet again. For all the debate around the makeup of the allocation in the stands though, what these derbies have really lacked in recent years is a competitive edge on the pitch, as Celtic's dominance has seen Rangers reduced to almost the role of cannon fodder at times. And yes, when taking the wider context of the Premiership standings into account, all that was really on the line in this particular episode of the long-running Glasgow saga was bragging rights for the fans, and at a stretch, perhaps, a psychological edge for the players of the victorious side going forward. But still, it seems that for all their failings on the domestic front this season, what Rangers have managed to do recently, both under Philip Clement and now Barry Ferguson, is find a way to cause Celtic real problems. They've scored 9 goals against them in their last 3 matches, and have only lost 1 of those games. Even then, that was after extra time and penalties. And they now have their first win at Celtic Park in 9 attempts in 5 long years. Whether deploying the 4-2-3-1 favoured by Clement, or the 3-4-1-2 Ferguson plumped for here, they have pressed Celtic into errors and disrupted the flow of their usually fluent passing game to great effect. They were aided in that regard here, of course, by the absence of Callum McGregor, with the Celtic captain's tight calf meaning that Arnold Engels was dropped back to try to emulate what his skipper brings to the table. In truth, the youngster proved something of a pale imitation on the day. Without McGregor's calming influence, and with Rangers pressing high from the off, Celtic were all over the place in the early exchanges, with even their vastly experienced keeper Schmeichel looking a bit like a bag of nerves. Rangers had clearly identified a weakness in Celtic's set-piece defending at their near post, and it was spotted it twice in the first half. Once for Nicholas Raskin to head them in front, and then for Leon Balogun to come close to adding a second. The Rangers fans wouldn't have to wait long to celebrate once more though, and when Mohamed Diamandi's strike hit the back of the net before the interval, it was the cue for half-time festivities to kick off in the away end. A rejig from Rodgers though saw Celtic finally bring what we all know they can to the party, with James Tavernier's arch nemesis Tyson Maeda pulling out on the left and immediately getting a goal back for the champions. When Rio Hatate latched onto Luke McGowan's clever pass to bring Celtic level, it looked as though the sort of jubilant scenes this ground has seen so often in recent years would soon be sparked again. But Eagleman and Rangers had other ideas, and with a swipe of his right boot, the home party was pooped. What it all means in the grand scheme of things remains to be seen. Celtic will win the league, handsomely and deservedly so. Afterwards, Rodgers admitted he was concerned with the recent pattern emerging in this fixture just of late against their city rivals, but to add a sense of perspective, they're still likely to end the season with a treble. For Rangers, and more specifically for interim manager Ferguson, the result could well have further-reaching effects into next season, with the former Ibrox captain surely giving his own chances of landing his dream gig on a permanent basis a real shot in the arm this week. Even if getting him to say "Hail, hail" appears to be more likely than getting him to admit it. For the Old Firm fixture though, the initial phase of the staggered return of away fans was a success, and while Celtic fans won't particularly care about the neutral perspective after this defeat, the game itself seems a proper occasion once more for these recent developments both on and off the pitch. And that report was written by Graham McGarry and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Saturday the 16th of March 2025, from the sports section. Rodgers says that there are no excuses for Celtic and Rangers' loss. Article written by Graham McGarry. Brendan Rodgers says that Celtic's comfortable lead at the top of the Premiership is no excuse for their lacklustre showing, as they eventually lost an epic Old Firm contest to Rangers at the death. The Celtic manager was critical of the lack of intensity his team showed when they lost at Ibrox in January, citing their healthy advantage at the top of the table as a possible factor in their shoddy display on that day. But after another uncharacteristically poor performance against their city rivals, particularly in an error-strewn first half, Rodgers was in no mood to give his men any allowances for a second derby defeat in a row. When asked if the 16-point gap between the sides at the start of the play had been a factor in Celtic's defeat, Rodgers replied, "It can't do. It can't do. There's no excuse. If it's 1 point gap or 16 or whatever it is, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. We didn't defend well enough. We weren't sharp enough mentally in the game, with and without the ball, and if you aren't, then a good team can punish you. We had a much better second half. I thought the second half, again, It looked like we were in the flow of the game. We get the goal and it feels like a matter of time. But you shouldn't then lose the game from that position. Rodgers admits that the 9 goals his team have shipped to Rangers in their last 3 meetings is a concern. Yeah, that's something to think about for sure, he said. I mentioned to the players afterwards, you need to be better. You need to be defensively much better, much more secure. But I think also part of that comes from the ball, giving the ball away and not dominating it like we do. You hand a little bit of onus to the opposition. But ultimately, the 3 goals were disappointing goals. It's just clarity of thinking. The corner, for the first goal, we were in good position. The young guy, Nicholas Raskin, he's done it a few times. He's quick across the ground and gets the contact. But we're goal side, so we have to deal with that better. The second one, again, the ball goes back and then we've got them to open up the pitch quicker. We end up, it goes out for a throw-in for them, so we're in control of that. And then the third one is a punt up the pitch. We miss the first header, a slip. In fairness, the guy finishes it really well, but we can deal with those things much better. It's just one of those days that you have sometimes. While stressing that he wasn't offering any excuses for the Celtic defeat, Rodgers did concede that the absence of his captain, Callum McGregor, didn't help his team. I think we missed Callum today, he said. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mentioned before about the tactical balance he gives the team. He's the guy that opens everything for us. His movement, his quality, his touch gets us through the pitch nice and quickly. So you can see it wasn't anywhere near as fluid. That's the reality. But others have to step up, because if he's not playing, then we need to be better. And that article was written by Graham McGarry. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 17th of March 2025, from the sports section. Glasgow Rangers pub's heartfelt banner after punter's death. Report by Ben Waddle. A Glasgow Rangers pub shared a heartfelt message after yesterday's Old Firm, following the death of one of its favourite regular punters. Christopher Potter, from Denniston, was tragically killed following a road traffic accident in Istanbul, Turkey. The father of 3, known as Mr. Duke Street, travelled to the Turkish city earlier this month to watch his beloved team take on Fenerbahce in the Europa League. After Celtic's game against Rangers on Sunday, March 16th, the Bristol bar in Duke Street posted another touching message paying tribute to the loyal Gers supporter. In a Facebook post, the pub showed off its banner, which was dedicated to Christopher. It read, "Let me tell you that I love you. Chris Potter, Rangers royalty." The boozer captioned the post, "Rest easy, Christopher Potter. GBNF." We previously reported the Watering Hole said Christopher was one of their favourite regular customers, a local lad and a great friend of the venue. Posting a touching tribute online on March the 6th, the Bristol bar said, "It's with great sadness that we learned of the passing of one of our favourite regular customers, a local lad and great friend of all at the Bristol bar. Christopher Potter was 1 in a million, a lovely guy who always brought a smile to everyone's face. We are so sorry to hear he passed away last night while out in Turkey to watch the match. He will be sorely missed by us all. Our thoughts are with his lovely wife, his kids and all his family at this sad time. Potter was and always will be a Bristol bar legend. Rest easy, buddy." Celtic took on Rangers at Celtic Park in the East End on Sunday, March 16th, with the Gers winning the game 3-2. And that report was written by Ben Waddle and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 17th of March 2025, in the sports section. Inside Rangers set-piece improvement as coach's playbook revealed. Article written by Robbie Hanratty. Rangers triumphed 3-2 winners in the latest Old Firm encounter as Hamza Egamin netted a late winner for Barry Ferguson's side at Celtic Park. Nicholas Raskin got the scoring up and running within 4 minutes, with the goal coming from a well-executed corner routine. And former Celtic and Hibernian midfielder Scott Allen reckons the move had all the blueprints of new Rangers coach Billy Dodds, who he worked under at Inverness Caledonian Thistle. This is a continuation of Rangers trying to assert themselves and how important set pieces can be in terms of getting a foothold in the game, he said. It's really well worked. You see this? It's a Billy Dodd special. I've worked with him and I've seen this many of times. You bring the 3 Rangers players out and it attracts the 3 Celtic players. It then isolates Maeda. So, you've then got the guys attacking the ball and Raskin gets across fantastically well. Listen, after you get that set up, the timing of the run and the delivery from Tavernier and the finish is fantastic, but it all comes from organisation. Analysing Rangers' overall display, Alan told BBC Sports Scene, "It was a huge win, obviously winning away to your biggest rivals. There was a lot made of Rangers' previous performance at Ibrox, and could they replicate that at Celtic Park? I think when you take into account the 120 minutes, which most of those players took part in on Thursday, it was a really impressive performance tactically, especially in the big moments for Rangers." And that article was written by Robbie Hanratty. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 17th of March, from the sports section, SLO issues statement after supporters denied Celtic v Rangers entry. Report by David Irvin. A Celtic supporter liaison officer has confirmed they attended the incident where 90 people were denied entry to the derby match against Rangers at Celtic Park. Police Scotland confirmed on Sunday that a large group of supporters, most of whom had concealed their identity, were barred from entering the stadium after refusing to be searched. A lengthy statement revealed the opinion of officers was that the group posed a potential threat to safety due to possible possession of weapons and pyrotechnics. No one was injured, but all 90 people would be reported to the Procurator Fiscal. Images from London Road yesterday showed a large group being held by police officers ahead of kick-off, with Celtic SLO confirming he attended the scene to liaise between supporters and Police Scotland officers. Celtic SLO John Paul Taylor has since passed on his feedback to the club after remaining at the scene from 12:25pm until 2:10pm on Sunday. A statement posted on the Celtic SLO account read, "To clarify, I attended the incident in London Road today from 12:25 where I liaised between PS and fans who were being held. I remained on London Road in this capacity until 2:10pm. I have since passed on my feedback to the club." A Police Scotland statement read, "A group of 90 people, most of whom had concealed their identity, were denied entry to Celtic Park after refusing to be searched by officers under the applied Section 60 powers on Sunday 16th of March 2025. It was the opinion of officers that they posed a threat to the safety of people within the stadium and to the public due to possible possession of weapons and pyrotechnics. Whilst the group was contained, pyrotechnics were disposed of and set off, causing a fire, endangering both the public and officers. Thankfully, no one was injured. All 90 people were reported to the Procurator Fiscal in relation to contraventions of Section 60. As part of the wider policing operation, there was one arrest at the match, a 20-year-old man. He was arrested and charged for alleged police assault on approach to the stadium. He has been released on an undertaking to appear at court at a later date. A second man, aged 46, is the subject of a report to the Procurator Fiscal for allegedly being in possession of a pyrotechnic. Chief Superintendent Stevie Dolan commented, "Again, the vast majority of fans were simply there to enjoy the match, and I would thank them for their good conduct. It was necessary to apply containment tactics to maintain public safety and deal effectively with those intent on disruption or non-compliance with relevant legislation, including powers under Section 60 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994. As a result, some groups of supporters missed the game, but that was their choice. Our priority is, and always will be, the safety of fans in and around the stadium and the general public in the wider city. To support that, enforcement of Section 60 and other legislation was undertaken proportionately, with search powers being enacted in a targeted manner. Non-compliance with Section 60 powers resulted in 90 people being reported to the Procurator Fiscal. Others have been arrested or reported for other offences, including the assault of a police officer. A significant number of pyrotechnics were seized or prevented from entering the stadium, which again demonstrates the disregard that some supporters have for the safety of others. We will continue to work with partners, including the clubs, to improve safety and order and to ensure that the sporting event is the real focus. And that report was written by David Irvin and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 17th of March 2025, from the sports section, Sterling brands Celtic Park SH hole in Rangers celebration. Report by David Irvin. Dujon Sterling branded Celtic Park as a SH hole as he celebrated Derby delight for Rangers. The Ibrox ace dropped a brutal swipe at Parkhead in an Instagram caption as he celebrated the 3-2 win on the Derby day in Glasgow. Sterling, 25, played 82 minutes of the heated tie as Hamza Egerman's late strike claimed victory for Barry Ferguson's side. Sterling posted on his personal social media account with 182,000 followers. Huge shift by everyone today at that shit ******. It doesn't get much better. There's more to come, Gers. Commenting on the post, teammate Nico Raskin wrote "douche" and then some emojis. Sterling's post, shared in the early hours of Monday morning, has been liked nearly 10,000 times so far. Included in the post were 3 images, one of Sterling in conversation with Leon Balogun, one of a crucial clearance during the match, and another celebrating Raskin's early goal. Meanwhile, Chris Boyd cited Brendan Rodgers' comments on not seeing a different Rangers as he celebrated his former club's win at Celtic Park. Referencing Rodgers suggesting that there hasn't been much change noticed under Ferguson from Philippe Clement, Boyd said on Sky Sports, "But Rangers in the first half were excellent, take nothing away from them. Brendan Rodgers had a pop in terms of he has not really seen anything different. He has today." And that report was written by David Irvin. That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels @QN Review and to tell your friends about our service